So this is a game called The Last Cup, and anyone who's familiar with the game Cuphead is immediately going to think of Cuphead when they look at this. The art style, the gameplay, the user interface, everything about this isn't even trying to hide the fact that it's just Cuphead. Now, what's interesting about this is I've spoken a lot about a game called Enchanted Portals, which was also accused of being a Cuphead clone. Now, the difference with this game, The Last Cup, is that it doesn't really seem to have any of its own identity. Enchanted Portals has its own themes and style. While it's clearly a game that's trying to be like Cuphead, it at least has a wizard or kind of magic theme to it, and it's not necessarily going for that 1930s old school animation with the scratchy effects and stuff. I can't say the same for The Last Cup. The Last Cup is doing absolutely everything that Cuphead did. I mean, look at some of the backgrounds. They look very, very similar to backgrounds that were in Cuphead. The UI is the same for when you get defeated by a boss on screen, and the health is located at the bottom left of the screen, as you can see there. It's not trying to do anything of its own. Everything that it's doing is just Cuphead in every conceivable way. Now, from what I can tell from this gameplay trailer, the game is very early in development. It looks as though the bosses are kind of very basic in their setup. They're just kind of like early phases of how they want this game to look. I have no idea when The Last Cup will launch, but I'm definitely going to check it out because I'm kind of fascinated by these games that have tried to be similar in some ways to Cuphead, or they've been heavily inspired by Cuphead in some way. Enchanted Portals has gotten a lot of backlash for being a quote-unquote Cuphead clone. I do think that it exists because of Cuphead. I do think that the developers are trying to make something similar to Cuphead as well with Enchanted Portals. But The Last Cup feels like it's only trying to be Cuphead. It doesn't have any identity of its own. Now, I've been heavily critical of Enchanted Portals. It has a lot of issues with the controls, a lot of issues with the inconsistent art style, and the gameplay just isn't quite as tight as it potentially could have been. But the boss battles are the best part of the game, and it's occasionally fun to play. In regards to The Last Cup, I haven't really seen enough of it to really pass judgment on how the game itself is going to be, but from a purely presentation and aesthetic level, it feels as though it's not confident in itself. The Last Cup feels like it's not confident in its visual style to copy Cuphead to the degree that it has. I'm definitely going to give The Last Cup a look when it eventually does release. I'm interested to see where it will go. It looks very, very early and rough at the moment, like there's not really a lot of content or gameplay there. It feels as though this trailer is there to show what could potentially come of it. Let me know what you guys think of The Last Cup. At the moment, it feels extremely derivative of Cuphead, in my opinion. It doesn't even have its own theme or art style, which Enchanted Portals did have, but despite that, came under a lot of heavy fire. The Last Cup hasn't seen as much brutal critique as of yet from what I've seen. I'd like to iterate the point again that I have no issue whatsoever with a game that is inspired by Cuphead, that is trying to be a cartoony 2D run-and-gun shooter. That's perfectly fine by me. But at the very least, kind of do something of your own idea. Have your own kind of take on it. Because like I've said, Enchanted Portals does have the wizard and magic theme. I feel it could have done a lot more with that, and it should have lent into that a bit more. But it doesn't feel as though The Last Cup is confident in its own identity in any real way, because it looks so insanely similar to Cuphead in every way. It's even called The Last Cup. They're not even trying to do anything original. Nothing whatsoever. Because at least some of the bosses are really creative and unique in Enchanted Portals, and at least it like I say, has this magic kind of theme to it. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on The Last Cup. I'm definitely going to play it when it eventually does release. I'm interested in it. It could end up being a fun little game. even if it relies so incredibly heavily on looking and feeling like Cuphead in ways that I don't think even Enchanted Portals did. So we'll see how it turns out. Enchanted Portals could have been a lot more than what it is, in my opinion. The game did get better after a patch, and there will hopefully be more patches as well, but there's only so much that the developers will be able to do. In regards to The Last Cup, they have the opportunity to really change things up. And even if they do keep with the whole old school 1930s animation with the scratchy effects and the jazz music and everything, even if they do keep that, even if it does look so similar to Cuphead, they can at the very least try to own that, and try to make something that feels like it's theirs and it's not just Cuphead. Because for all its faults, I can at least say that of Enchanted Portals, it at the very least has its own style and its own ideas, which I can appreciate that about. That's all from me. What do you guys think of The Last Cup? What do you guys think of Enchanted Portals? Let me know in the comments below. Do discuss. That's been me. Bread been out.